All right. Okay, here we go. First episode, number 1, me and Jen. Off the rails. I'm sorry. I always forget the freaking name. All right, off the rails, episode 1. Here we go. We're talking to Jen here. My name's Dana, trainer of Elite Performance Horses, Springville, New York, all that fun stuff. And we're just basically creating a podcast to ramble on about life as a horse trainer, life as a horse customer, and all that fun stuff. So we have Jen here with us. She is one of my newest customers, but my funnest. I shouldn't say that because I have everybody listening to this. But we get along really well, so we figured we'd give this a try. All right. So introduce yourself, Jen. Off you go. Who are you? How long have you been riding? What are you doing?
Yeah, so I'm Jen. I don't have any fancy like horse barn or anything like that. But I have been riding actually since I was really, really young. I was one of those kids who their dad got them a pony, and my pony was super nasty and would throw me off all the time.
Oh, me too. I had a Sugar. She was literally rescued from the SPCA. My grandfather pulled her off the trailer, and she was like the grungiest little thing you'd ever see in your whole life. But she was the best, and she had one eye, and I loved her.
Aww.
And why she was named Sugar, I don't know, because there was nothing sweet about her. So, but yeah. I feel you there.
Mine was Pumpkin, and she was like super fat, and like all she would do is I would be sitting on her, and she would just tilt her head over, and I just tumble on top of her.
Yeah, so I would have to literally drag Sugar all the way to the corner of the pasture, hop on, and let her run as fast as she could all the way to the gate, and that's literally how we rode. We didn't actually ride. And then, we couldn't afford lessons, so it was just like figure it out as you go, and if you fall off, too bad, get on. So,
yeah.
That's good. That's good. No, I like it. All right. So, lessons. This is what is the whole reason I brought you on, is because you've had bad lesson experiences, you've had good lesson experiences, and somehow you ended up here at this crazy farm.
Yeah, so kind of like not a lot of backstory to that, but I actually, so oddly enough, in the buildings right in front of this farm, I used to do karate lessons as a kid.
Neat.
And I used to come back here after my karate lessons and pet all the horses.
Oh, yeah, cool. So what year was this? Because maybe it might have been when my grandmother had this place.
I think I was maybe like 7 or 8.
Yeah, so it probably was. So I was probably the creepy little girl on the other side of the fence. It was like, don't touch my horse, lady.
Don't touch my horse. Yeah, but I would love it. Like, it was like my best part of my karate lessons was seeing all these horses, and they would like chase the cars and stuff. And then I came here a couple years later with the other owners, and I did reining.
Yeah.
And that was kind of a mess, kind of a hot mess.
Kind of like a just fend for yourself, but you're going to pay me to fend for yourself?
Yeah, I would like work there every single afternoon after school and then get no lessons in return. So that was fun.
Oh, that was great. That was wonderful. Did you at least get to ride, like sit up there and just wander around?
Once in a while. Yeah.
When she felt like saddling the horse?
Yeah. And then I went to this other trainer who was a very good trainer. And she trained for an equestrian team for a school, but she was just like, oh my gosh, she would kick my ass. Like, if I showed up 1 minute late, it was like no stirrups.
Oh my gosh, so that's where your fear of lateness comes from. Because for everybody that doesn't know, I literally get messages after messages from poor Jen that I'm going to be late. Please don't hate me. And I'm like, I'm always late, so I don't really hate you. Actually, I love you because I'm never on time either. But, so that's a little backstory on that.
I think that's part of the reason why we get along so well, because me and you are both like, I'm late too. Oh my God, this is perfect.
We get along because we're just like hot mess express all day long, and we have no idea what we're doing. Except
literally.
We love horses, and that's about it.
That's it. We're just here for the horses and like to have fun, and that's why I like you so much, like, compared to everyone else, because like you're not like, you're good, if not better than like the last trainer I had, but also you're not like mean to me. Like, she would get me to the point where like I felt like I was gonna cry.
Yeah, so like, okay, we're gonna go into some backstories here. Big time backstory. So when I started, like I kind of said before, we were just so freaking broke, right? We were lucky to have horses. My grandmother just loved horses. My mom is petrified. My father is my father, right? He thinks he's the cowboy Troy of the world, which he is good. I'm not saying he's not, but he just is like, I got this. Get out of my way. I can handle all this. And I was just like left in the middle. So my grandma's like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I just want to ride horses. I don't care. She had Morgan. I had fallen in love with reining, which is really weird.
Yes, I love reining.
And we got a little huge quarter horse mare, right? This is my first horse ever besides Sugar. And she was so fat, she needed like a draft horse girth. I couldn't get her to walk. I couldn't get her to trot. I couldn't do anything. And she's supposed to be this like big reining horse. They like filled my head with like all this grandeur that like this horse is fantastic. Well, she really was. Okay, so she was not. She's a saint. I look back at her now and I'm like, oh, so lucky. So we send her out for like 30 days of training and we go. So at this point, I'm like 11. And we go down to the trainers, fantastic reining trainer, really like high regarded, futurity winner, all this kind of stuff. And we're sitting there and he's like, if you can do that, I probably loped around maybe 3 times. I'm 11, okay, and I'm a short, chunky 11. Yeah. Like, I'm not like no tall, beautiful equitation rider. I'm like a short, little, chunky 11-year-old that's like been riding on the farm. That's it. And he's like, well, if you can do that, you're fine. You can take her home. So, like, some lesson, right? We just spent, like, 30 days. The horse was tuned up, but, like, I had no idea what the heck I was doing. So my grandma would haul me to these shows, and she'd be like, just watch the people and do what the people do. And I'm, like, 11 years old, and I'm like, okay. So I'm trying to watch these people and ride like these people. Well, biggest mistake ever to just sit there and stare at people because they're like, all right, what's this, like, little poor kid with this fat horse doing, trying to keep up with us. But eventually we figured it out. We got pretty good. And I was happy with it. And we had a good time. And then she got hurt, my mare. And she actually, just in her stall, she was just in the stall hanging out. And she rotated her shoulder and the muscle came off the bone in the shoulder. So we tried to have some stuff done with her and fix it. And just nothing was fixing it. So she was basically lame. And then that's when my grandmother sold this place that I have now, that I own now. She sold it and took her money and she basically dumped it into horses for show horse for me, which was Al, my big guy that you always think is so grumpy and evil.
Always pins his ears at me and like tries to bite me.
He's like 35 years old now and he's just not in the mood for anything.
No,
but
same.
She bought him for me and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to ride him Western. I knew nothing about Morgans. My grandma knew what she knew from owning her horse and that was about it. So we go to this boarding barn. We're boarding at this barn. And no names, no governments on this. We can give nicknames, but that's it. No government
Fair
names.
enough.
So we go to this barn, and they were, like, all excited. They helped us, get a Morgan and everything like that. And as more people filtered in, I just became, like, the dumb, chunky kid that did not know how to ride. So they didn't want to deal with me. They're like, what do you know? We have, like, 3 other junior exhibitors, and we don't want to deal with you. And, I mean, I shouldn't say everybody was like that there, but I definitely got, it was like one main person. Like the trainer there was just, she didn't care for me and I just didn't care for her and we just didn't mesh, which happens. And so like everything went wrong. So not only did they not help me, but then they would sabotage me if I would start like getting it. So we start riding this big giant, well, you know how big he is. You've seen him. And we start riding this big giant Morgan hunt seat. Knew nothing. I knew nothing. I didn't even know how to post. And they're like, oh, your legs need to be shorter. They need to be shorter. They need to be shorter. So we go to the first horse show, and I'm literally like a friggin' jockey, right? Like my knees are so up to my chest. It's so terrible.
And you have short legs.
I'm like a little tiny person as it is, like short. Yeah, my legs are like maybe like 2 feet long. And my grandmother's like, Dina, this just isn't right. Like, you look terrible. They told us we could go buy. This is how deep they were into sabotaging me, right? They tell me, go to the shoe palace and buy your boots. And you can use them as hunt boots. Like, women's fashion, like,
oh my God.
Like ankle-high boots. And for anybody that wants to check on our Facebook page or on our Twitter, I will literally post the show pictures of me showing my gigantic 16-hand hunter at 13 years old in fashion boots. So embarrassing, right?
That is the worst.
Because I know the second this comes out, you're going to have all the haters negating that this happened to me, but I got the receipts. So, like, we're going for it. So we get there. So we're like, my grandma's like, we got to help you. Like, we can't do this. Like, this is embarrassing at this point. Like, this poor girl. So we just started watching and pretty much scamming other people's lessons. I'd sit in the ring and these girls would be riding on these big high dollar horses and I'd be sitting there with a notebook in the stands like, she's telling her sit up, she's telling her this, she's telling her that. And that's literally how I learned to get to like where I am. And then of course, throughout the years, you know, you get a little bit more money, you start figuring life out, and you go to other trainers and you learn more and like get deep into your studies. But that is like my very introductory to the true horse show world.
That's terrible.
Isn't that awful? And it gets so much worse, but we're going to save that for a whole nother episode. So, I mean, there's bumps, bruises, hat boxes getting thrown at people's heads, like so much drama. But I figure I'll get into my drama and now you can get into yours. If you have any. I don't know if you have any.
I mean, I have dealt with, I feel like all horse people are crazy.
Yeah,
like in one way or the other. And they're like usually mean. Like,
which I don't understand
mean.
because they'll look at you and say, we want more people in this industry and we want new people and we want you to buy horses and we want this. And then they turn around and they're complete jerks.
Yeah, they're snotty.
Yeah.
They're just snotty and they think that like they're the best and their horse is the best and
yeah, their way is like the only way. And then God forbid they can't train a horse that way because then whoever can fix that horse is just garbage.
Yeah.
Like
I feel like
people.
most of the time their horses like reflect their personality too, which is really funny. Because like if you have like a
oh my
really...
God, don't say that because Al is evil. Al is like mean and that's mine. And Iceman's obnoxious. Well, I guess I am obnoxious, so we can go there.
Maybe it kind of makes sense because like, well, you gotta think too, like how you're training your horse. Like if you're the one who trained them and you train with like an iron fist or like you're extra, you know, rough on them, I feel like they might be a little bit jaded. Like you gotta be like, you know, kind of soft and gentle, and if you're not, then they're like, okay, I'm gonna be crazy too, just like you. Especially if it's a mare. I have had the worst experiences with mares, but
I have like 4 or 5 mares here, and I adore them. So I don't normally get on the mare train. Like, okay, every mare is bad. I feel like mares are misunderstood to a point, but you get them in the wrong hands.
Yes.
And that's where the, oh, she's a nasty mare comes from. I feel like it's kind of like women. Some women are like that. Like you're in a bad relationship and all this kind of stuff and you just get the crap. Like all of a sudden you're this or you're that or you're a bitch or you're, you know.
That's exactly how I was in my past relationship. I was with him for 4 years and he brought out like the absolute worst in me.
Yes.
And I was nasty.
Yes.
And I was terrible.
We had evil Jenn on our hands.
Yeah.
What was it? So Matt is Jen's boyfriend. Oh my gosh, is Matt going to let us use this? We can edit it out if he can't.
No, he will.
Okay.
He will. He probably won't even listen to this.
Okay. So Matt is Jen's boyfriend and Ian is my husband. Okay, world. Whoever's listening to this, which will be like our 3 people.
Just me and you.
Me, you, and my mother. That's about it. So whoever's listening to this is our human interaction on a daily life. So Jenn has brought attention to me the other day that she has an alter ego.
Yes.
And it was given to her by her man. So her alter ego is, I'll let you introduce your alter ego, so I won't be me.
So apparently when I'm being nasty, he refers to me as Hans.
Who rules with an iron fist.
Yeah, so I am German Hans, who is just evil, and I run Auschwitz at the house.
There you go.
Supposedly.
There you go. So that is evil Jenn that we had probably lived with for 4 years before I met you. It's before I met you.
Well, I've actually only been with Matt for about a year now.
No, I mean like your other boyfriend brought out evil Jenn all the time.
Yeah.
So you were Hans constantly.
I don't think Matt's even met me before him because he was so... There's just people that bring out different sides of you. Like, it's crazy.
There is.
Even my mom says, like, she'll, you know, interact with me, like, when I'm with Matt, and she's like, you're so much easier to deal with now that you're dating Matt. Like, when I was dating my ex previously, I was just always miserable. Like, I was in a bad mood. I was nasty. Like, I was mean to my mom. And now I come to my mom's house, and I'm like, oh my gosh, life's so good.
Well, like people just suck the happiness right out of you. And that's why I don't understand, like, I'm a true believer in I have to meet you before I'm going to sit there and talk about you.
Yeah.
Because, and not that I really have time to talk about anybody, but if somebody's going to ask my opinion of you, and this happens a lot in the horse world, right? So people are like, what's your opinion of this person? Do they have a good reputation or do they have a bad reputation? And my thing is, you'll hear something different from just about everybody. To most, I'm the nicest person in the world. I will give you the shirt off my back. I will help you. I'll help you with your horse for free if you're like a boarder here or whatever. And then to others, I'm horrible. I'm evil. I'm mean. I made them cry and all this kind of stuff. And all I can say is, like, I can only control myself. And that's kind of how I go through life, is I can only control myself and how I react to situations. Now, while I don't ever think I'm like super mean to strangers, if you're going to be awful to me, then that's what you're going to get in return.
Exactly.
If you're demanding or rude or selfish or something like that, that's exactly what you're going to get from me back. Because, like, I just don't have time for you.
Yeah, I'm not like that pushover person. Like, I'm friendly and, like, I enjoy being nice, but I also have that, like, fire in me where, like, if you mess with me or, like, my mom or my dogs, like
touch something I love and I'll break your hand.
Yeah,
like, that's
I will flip the switch and, like, I'll be crazy.
So now, are you Italian or are you German?
I am Italian.
Yeah,
I'm Italian and Polish. And, like, my boyfriend loves the fact that I'm Polish. Like, he always makes fun of me for being Polish. Like, because, like, I will say the stupidest things. I'll be like, babe, do you ride your motorcycle through Delta Sonic? Like, and he's like, what is wrong with you? Like, why would you ever think that that's a thing? Like,
but you have to realize too, like, the world. So my mother who's listening to this, obviously my mother knows I'm blonde, but so is Jen. So we're just two blonde girls asking ditzy questions at times who get very angry. But, you know, depending on how you treat us. That's what you're going to get on here.
Exactly.
Okay, so as we divulge some more information in our life stories to people that probably don't even want to hear it.
Yeah, that's fine.
We'll just go into lessons. So when you came to me, we had a phobia, right?
Yeah.
So we'll divulge into your phobia and how this came about.
So it's crazy because when I was young and first started riding horses, I swear I was fearless. Like, I would get on these horses that would buck other people off, and I would ride them and I'd fall off and I'd, like, get back on. I was like a wild little cowgirl tomboy. And then as I got older, I, you know, was with a trainer who was really strict, and I was with horses that were spooking all the time. And then I didn't ride throughout college. And then over the summer, my friend Sam, she lives in Texas. She was up visiting her parents, and her parents have, like, a little, like, just like a home barn with, like, you know, 3 horses and an outdoor arena. So we decided to ride a little bit. And she has this green Arabian who's huge, and his name is Rusty.
Oh my gosh, have you ever watched Seinfeld, Rusty, where Kramer feeds him the beans?
Yes.
That's all I think about when somebody tells me
Just
their horse is named
farting.
Rusty. So if anybody on this earth listens to this and their horse is named Rusty, I'm sorry, but that's all I think about when I hear that name.
Rusty!
Rusty! And he's, like, stinking so bad.
Oh my
okay,
gosh.
anyway.
Anyways, so Rusty, he's a really beautiful Arabian. He's gorgeous, but he's green. And he just, like, spooks at everything. I'm not, like, Arabians are not my first pick, which is interesting that, like, I'm looking at an Arabian here.
Which is interesting that I twisted her arm into trying to tell her that she has to buy this horse at my farm.
Yeah.
That's an Arabian.
Yeah.
And he's only, like, 3 years old.
But
so.
he's, like, so sweet. But anyways, before we get into that. So Rusty, I was riding him, doing a few lessons on him. But, like, every time he cantered, he would pick up the wrong lead, and he would, like, just, like, go straight towards the gate. And, like
just bolt. Like, he was barn sour. He just wanted to go back.
Yeah, just would bolt towards the gate, and I would just be like, luckily, like, I have a good seat. So, like, I would be able to, like, hold on when he would stop. But I was like, it's ridiculous. Like, I'm 24. If I fall, I might, like, break a hip or something. I feel old now.
We're not rubbery anymore. We're old.
Yeah,
we're old and
like,
stiff.
Old. So, and then the final straw for me was she had this woman doing, like, some lessons, like, coming out and doing lessons for her. And this woman, like, really, she wasn't a trainer, but she worked on this, like, fancy horse barn, like, foaling the horses. So she would, like, you know, help the mares and stuff like that.
So she was, like, probably a breed manager.
Yeah.
Is probably, like,
she
what
was
it was.
a breed manager. By the way, I am not, like, very versed on, like, the horse world. Like, I've been riding horses, but, like, I don't really know, like, all the phrases and terms.
Well, that's why it's, like, perfect. It's perfect. Because, you know what, half the time I don't know them either. So.
Yeah. But anyway, so she was, like, training me, and, like, obviously she wasn't doing it right, because when I came to you, I was all pitched in my trot and, like, all that kind of stuff, and she wasn't correcting it. And then we were in the canter, and we were going around in a 20-meter circle, and he just took out from under me. And I was like, you know what? Like, I can't do this anymore. Like, this is, like, I'm getting scared. Like, I don't want to canter now. Like, I wasn't having fun. And then when I came to you, I was so afraid of.
Yes, we had
Tanner.
tears, people. We had tears. Which, like, not to make fun of Jen. I'm not making fun of anybody that has tears, but I'm just showing the severity of the situation.
Yeah, it was bad. Like, I still now, like, when I lope, like, not on Bo, the horse that I've been on the past couple times, but Axel, like, I would just, oh my God, like, this is so much. And I felt like he was going to take off from under me. Like, it's such a process to, like, trust, like, riding again and the horse again.
Yep. Well, so for people that don't know, Axel is a Hunter Morgan, and he's a showy kind of fella. So he's got a big canter, and he's solid, he's steady. I would never put my students on something that would kill them, but he's solid, he's steady, but he just has that nice big lofty takeoff, and that kind of brought up some just general fear and kind of like probably flashbacks in a way. Like flashbacks, like, oh gosh, here we go. And so we moved Jen to this handsome, chunky buckskin gelding that we use in our lesson program, and his name is Bo. And he's everybody's dream. Everybody tries to buy him every time they ride him. And so she's on him now, and we've made like a lot of headway though.
Yeah, because now
like
we
crazy.
can actually work on my riding in the canter without me just like holding on and like
freezing
praying.
And like, oh my God, we're gonna die. He's taking off. No, so that is like a big thing. Like, and like I said, I don't really know where this podcast is going other than I just want to talk about daily life. Like, I've been asked to just sit and talk to my people, and I get along really well with Jen here. So we're going to keep her for a while, I think.
And I feel like there's so much that goes on from like week to week. Like,
yeah, so every time that these girls walk in the barn, I have another dramatic story. So for anybody that likes to follow my Facebook, if anybody's listening to this, which I'll probably ask 900 times because I don't believe anybody really wants to hear me.
We'll see. Time will tell.
Right. But we just had a foal here last night, so I am on no sleep. Last night I had a whole total of 2 hours of sleep, and the night before that I had maybe 1.
Oh my
so
God.
This is my delusional ramblings, pretty much.
Yeah. This is the thought process.
Yeah, so this is what my girls, if you want your horse to be here trained in lessons, this is what my girls get every day. Just wild, weird ramblings. Okay, so where was I going with that? Oh, you getting afraid, right? And then coming to me. So this is something that I get a ton of. And I'm sure other trainers do. I really don't know. Bigger show barns, I don't know if people just show up there to kind of get rid of their fears or phobias. I know personally I get a lot of this. So I get a lot of people that they've been scarred. Like these people put these beginners and novices on these horses and they just scar them. And then there's no comfort zone. And I don't feel as a trainer and an instructor, I don't feel like you girls can learn, girls and guys can learn when you're not comfortable. So Jen, I feel like you've seen that like firsthand. Now that you're on Bo, you've seen the complete difference in learning and how much further you've come in lessons. So
yeah,
and that way you get what you pay for. So I feel like you definitely, as a trainer, need to have lesson horses that are quiet and make your customers feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's lacking. I feel like that's something I shouldn't have to say. Like, if it's a lesson horse, that horse is supposed to be designed to teach these people lessons, not scare them, And I understand, like, riding, there's always a little bit of fear, right? We've got to push our boundaries, and there's always a little bit of fear, and you can always fall off. That's just a part of it. I'm not saying that we need to have dead broke horses and that's all you girls are going to ride, because obviously you're not learning from that. But there's a point in which you've got to be able to look at your trainer. And if they're ruling with an iron fist, I don't feel like you're going to feel comfortable being like, this horse makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah. No, there was a situation. There was this one day with this trainer, the really strict trainer. And I was a little late to the lesson, and she was really angry with me, as she always was, because obviously my time management is just like the worst trait about me. But anyway, she was really, really angry at me, and she put me on this mare. And this mare immediately picked up, like, what I was setting down. Like, she picked up my bad vibes, and she was like, I'm going to torture you.
Like, you want to be nasty at me? I'll be even nastier.
Yeah.
Well,
so,
let's get this bitch fest going.
Yeah, she was a nightmare to me. She was running off from under me. She was, like, not listening. She wasn't, like, she was trotting really fast and, like, extended, dropping her shoulder. And the whole time, the trainer's just, like, yelling at me and, like, telling me how bad I'm doing. And so, like, that's not helping my mood at all.
Right? That's good. Like,
yeah.
nothing like walking into a lesson and number one, feeling punished. Like, because,
Yeah.
like, oh,
and
you're
I'm
late.
paying her. And I would pay her good money. Like, she was more expensive than you were. It's
I was
like,
just going to say, I'm cheap, people. Like, all these people need to know I'm cheap. All right?
Yeah. And I was paying her top dollar for lessons, and she was being terrible to me. Like,
Yep.
she was so mean to me. And it's like, then I would see her with other students, and it seemed like she was so nice to them. And I almost felt like I was like
The outcast?
yeah, like she didn't like me.
Nope.
You know? And I tried so hard for her. Like, I would try, like,
Poor Jen. She's just like, please like me and don't put me on this horrible mare anymore.
right. And, like, she was just so angry that, like, my emotions were getting the best of me. Like, but she didn't take the time to, like, stop and, like, calm me down and be like, hey, it's okay. Like, you
Or
do
like,
that for
what
me.
is bothering you? Like,
Yeah.
I remember our first lesson and you got on and I always ask the same, like, 20 questions. I always go over every lesson. Like, your first 3 lessons here, I always go over, like, emergency circles. You know how to stop. You feel comfortable with this. You feel comfortable with that. And I make it a point to stop in my lessons and be like, do you feel comfortable? What's bothering you? What's going on? Or I really try to make sure you girls know why. Like, say the horse you're on is shouldering in. I try to stop you guys, even if it's for 5 minutes, and show you why that horse is shouldering in.
Yeah.
Why your seat. Like, why, if it's your seat or if it's your hands or if it's the way you're leaning.
Yeah, I think you're the first person to ever teach me that moving my seat in different ways actually, like, moves the horse. Like, no one has ever taught me that before.
Yes, and it's, like, so bizarre because every other student I get, so I'm not going to say every, because there is good trainers out there. I'm not saying I'm the best, by far not the best. Okay, I still do lessons myself.
Pretty good, though.
Yeah, I try. So it blows my mind how many students I get in here and they'll be like, oh, I've been riding for 4 years. And they get in here and they're just leaning every which way in the saddle. And I'm like, if your horse moves 2 steps to the right at the trot, you're getting dumped. Like,
Yeah.
do you feel comfortable that way? And they're like, well, we don't really know any different. So the second I teach them, like, what a seat is and how to move your seat bones and your hips move and your legs move and you can steer with your legs and not just your hands, you're not hanging onto their mouth all the time. Then all of a sudden they're like, I can't believe I ever rode before this. Like, this is so comfortable. So, yeah, that's like a pet peeve of mine. But it's a little scary at the same time. Like, there's no regulation on who can just decide that they're an instructor. And
Yeah.
you're putting your kids' lives adults, you're putting your own life in somebody's hand and you're paying them a lot of money. And they're just scaring you. Like,
Yeah. And there's so many people, like, they might be good. There's a difference between being a good rider and being a good trainer.
yes.
Because you can be top rider.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean that you know how to train someone else, though.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, the woman who trained me, she was a top rider. Like, she was a really good trainer. She had really good horses. But, like, just her attitude about it. And who knows if I was pitching with her. I mean, I'm assuming I was because when I came here, I was pitched. So,
Yeah, and I had you riding different than you ever had before.
yeah.
But what I found, too, as a trainer is some of the best trainers that I've seen, they can train a horse and it's just like, oh my gosh, look at this horse. He's beautiful, he's solid, he's nice and balanced and all this kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden you watch them try to give a lesson and it's like they don't either want to or they don't know how to take the time with a student and teach them how to ride that balanced horse.
Yeah.
So, like, the student they put on, this horse might be beautiful, and then they put the student on, the student's leaning all over the place, or laying one way, or laying another, and they just start yelling instead of stopping and being like, oh, did I actually ever teach you how to sit in the saddle? Did I actually ever teach you how to not scoot your seat when you want the horse to walk, or lean, on the inside when you're doing a turn? And then they tend to get nasty, like, with the customers.
Oh, I would always have the thing, like, you've ridden before, like, you know better. Like,
Yeah.
I shouldn't have to teach you this.
Yes!
Like, but that's why I'm here.
Yes.
I'm here to learn. Like, I'm not here for you to yell at me.
Yes, like, and that's, like, what I so don't understand. So that's, like, another reason we kind of started this is because I feel like if anybody listens to this and this gets out to people and it's beginner riders and you're at a facility and you just feel like you're lost, which I'm not saying even with the best instructor in the world, you're not going to feel lost. You guys are. But if you feel like, oh my gosh, you're just getting yelled at and you feel like you're the non-favorite and you're not going anywhere, then maybe you need to either look at your instructor and say, why is this happening? Why is this horse acting up on me? Why is my seat not right? Why don't I look as pretty as a rider as the other people that are in this barn? Or you need to go to a different facility.
Yeah.
Because you're wasting your money at that point, and you're wasting your time. And I mean, that's just something I feel really strongly about. Because I've had people that come to me and they don't work with me. So, like, I'm not going to say everybody that walks in my door stays here and loves me, because that's not true. And my whole goal in life is just to be honest. And I've had quite a few, even training horses, I've had quite a few come in. I won't say quite a few, but several come in, and they're just like, I don't like the way you're training my horse. I don't want my horse to move off my seat. I want my horse to do it this way or do it that way. And that's fine, because it's not my horse. You know,
it's not your problem.
At the end of the day. Not my problem. But, like, lessons are the same thing. Like, some people don't like that I stop our lessons for 3-4 minutes and explain to you why this is happening. Some people are like, I'm paying you and I want to ride around for that whole time. I don't want to stop and listen to your lecture.
It might be like an ego thing too. People might feel like, oh, like, you think that I don't know how to do this. Like, I know how to do this.
Yeah. So riding, and like I tell anybody that seems to be getting tense or upset, like, riding is a very humbling thing. It's a humbling thing for your trainer, for your instructor, for the rider, for everybody. So if you're not going to walk into it thinking, okay, I stink and that's okay, or this horse can embarrass me in 2 minutes, that's okay.
I feel like that's my whole lesson, is me being like, I suck, I'm so bad at this, and you're like, you're doing so good, and I'm like,
yes,
how? I like feel like every time I ride, I'm like, I'm
hot
terrible.
Garbage. Well, it's really hard to ride around here, and I believe that because these girls are talented. Riders nowadays are just talented. I'm like looking on Facebook because all trainers do
Instagram Reels.
Yes, Instagram, and you're like, I'm watching some of these girls and I'm thinking, I like, holy cannoli, like, I watched equitation. So, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get the show wrong and everybody's gonna slaughter me for it. It was a saddlebred show. It was I think it was World Show. I'm not sure. People, don't come for me, but their equitation class was done no stirrups on saddle seat horses. And they're going around on saddlebreds. And I love my saddlebreds. So I have 2 big, huge 17-hand saddlebreds that I'm going to try to flop around on this summer. But they're going around, no stirrups, nothing. And their hands are so up and their backs are so straight. And they were the prettiest bunch of girls I ever seen in my whole entire life.
It's crazy.
And I was like, how do you people exist? Like, I am a trainer. I put out into the world what I put out into the world, horse-wise, people-wise, rider-wise. I'm so impressed by my girls that I have in this barn. And guys, I have 3 male students. I can't forget the boys. So I'm so impressed by these people I put out in the world. But I'm also so impressed by just what's out there. Like, it almost is, like, so hard to ride. Like, I watch other trainers and I watch even students of other trainers. Like, that equitation class, I thought, oh my gosh, in my best day, never could I sit like that.
No.
They're like stones, and it's so beautiful. So it's easy to get like a little bit discouraged, especially riding around here when you see like the girls riding their hunters, and it's just like, oh, they're so beautiful, and they just post around, and these horses look so effortless. And then you get up there and you just feel like a potato.
Yeah, I'm like just a potato.
Yeah,
just riding
like,
along.
I'm just a potato. But what's so funny is, like, they were all there. So, like, I am so upset because, and I'm going to put her name on there, which I might ask her. She might make me take it out. Andrea. I so wanted her to come on here because she's my one. She had so much self-doubt in the beginning. But girl, like, she tried. Like, she worked her butt off, and she is just fabulous. Like, her and that horse, I'm so excited. She's got a big Hunter Morgan that she's debuting this year. And she is just somebody that she just worked. Like, she worked her butt off. She's still working her butt off. And, man, are they beautiful. You've seen her.
No, I watched a lesson one time. I was really impressed.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, my gosh. And, like, even still to this day, she'll be like, oh, I did it wrong. And I'm thinking, you're so beautiful up there. Like, little tiny tweaks. So I get it. You know, it's easy to feel like you're not going to ever get it. But you will. So when I'm like, oh, good job and all that, some people are like, I did one little thing right out of this whole lesson. I'm like, that's all it takes. It's like one step. And then you just add them up as you go. So.
Yeah, no, it's definitely intimidating. Like, I watch Instagram reels all day of horses and, like, the dressage and, like, the crazy, like, canters. And I'm like, I will never be able to do this. Never in my life will I be able to do this. But it's about, like, the experience. And honestly, like, I just want to ride. And that's what I told you when I first walked in the barn is, like, I just want to have fun and ride. And that's it. And I feel like sometimes you have, like, different plans for me.
Yeah, I force my ideals on Jen. I'm like, you can do this. We're doing this today. Let's go.
Yeah.
We're going to show. You're going to buy a show horse. You're going to be fine with it. And you're going to have fun. But I believe, like, I'm not like that with everybody. So I feel like you do get some trainers that they'll do that because they want the money, right? I'm not saying all trainers. But, you know, every bunch has their bad eggs. And I'm not saying it's a bad egg thing.
Well, you do have to make a living at the end of the day.
They're hustling, right?
Yeah.
I'm like the furthest person to hustle. Like, I'm supposed to sell horses, train horses, sell horses. Not like a ton, but, you know, you got to make some money. And I'm lucky. I've been doing this for like 20 years. And I'm literally lucky if I've sold 10. Because I just can't sell them. I fall in love with them.
Yeah.
But I'm not a horse hoarder either. So I don't ever go like above my means. Because, you know, I want them well taken care of. And happy and healthy and at least all be able to get my attention. So are we the biggest facility? No. You know, you go to some shows and they're bringing like 25, 30 top level show horses. And I'm like, how the heck do you manage this?
How do you have time for that?
Right?
Like, oh my God.
And they work. Like, those trainers work. So, like, I have a lot of respect for a lot of people in this industry because we're all tired all the time. And I have half of what everybody else has, and I'm exhausted. So I couldn't imagine half of them.
Yeah. How many horses did you say you ride in a day?
So we have 12. So I do 12 a day, 12 show horses a day. But then that's not our whole show string because then I have the girls that own their horses that aren't in full training, that they do like 3 or 4 lessons a day. So we do 12 show horses. Then I've got my lesson horses here. And then we do over 62 lessons a week.
Wow.
So for some people, that's nothing. Some people are doing like 100, 150 lessons a week.
Yeah, but not all by themselves, you think?
No. Oh, well, I don't know. Honestly, I really don't know. Because down in Florida, I have a friend. I think she was doing 100 a week by herself.
Wow.
Which is like, how do you do this?
How do you survive?
Yes, because like
crazy. Either
either I'm lazy or I'm broken because there's no way I could do 100. My back hurts just doing like 12 a day. So
I couldn't imagine. Like, I get sore after riding like once a week. Like, if I had to ride 12 horses a day, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm gonna die.
Right. Well, I'm lucky too, because like, well, you know, I've got Kylie here who is, and I'm putting out government names. I'm not supposed to be doing this.
She's here like every single time I'm here.
All the time. That girl works, man. She works her butt off. We have a bunch of girls that just work.
Yeah.
Like, they are fantastic. I don't know how I got so lucky. I really don't. Because it's all for literally, as corny as it's going to sound, is all because they just love these horses.
It's a passion.
Like,
yeah.
It is. All my horses are well loved by every single person that's here. Every single person that's here. I mean, that's why Al attacks you every single day when you come in. He wants those
attention.
cookies.
Yeah,
He's like grabbing your
love.
coat, pulling you around, making faces.
That's another thing is I've had trainers that like refuse to give their horses treats. It's like,
oh my God, mine get paid in
why?
treats. So like you put them on the cross eyes and they turn that head and look right at the cookie jar, which is it the best thing in the world? No, but you know what? If anybody doesn't like it, kiss my ass because that's just how I do it. No, that's just I've had some people be like, you can't give them treats. How like they're gonna get distracted.
They gotta live,
right? Kiss my ass. Do you get a treat? Do you eat some ice cream? Yeah. Like I don't care. I'm doing what I want. They're mine. And if they go out and they embarrass me, fine. And they embarrass me. I don't really care. I've had horses go out in the ring and they've been embarrassing. But you know what? We go back to the stalls. We get drunk. We have a good time. And that's all that matters.
At the end of the day, like you're having fun.
Right? No one died. And my horses might have made a flub, but we're good.
People are too serious. And like they reflect that on their horses. Like I used to see dressage horses who would just live in a stall.
Yeah.
Their whole life.
Yep.
And it's like, how can you do that to like an animal?
Right.
Like people, and I hope people don't come for me because like people really do that all the time because God forbid their horse has like a mark on them.
Or gets dirty. The funniest thing that I had ever heard in my whole life, and I'm probably going to get hammered for this one, right? Is I had someone here as a boarder, and they had an outside instructor, which I don't mind. I actually like to watch outside instruction, not to judge them, but like I learn. Like if you don't care about me sitting in, I'll sit in and I'll try to learn whatever I can. You can learn something from everybody. So I was sitting here and the horse came out of the stall and she had told me I could turn it out. So I turned it out. And this was like when I first purchased this place, right? And she's like, yeah, you can turn my horse out. And I'm like, okay. So it was muddy. It was yucky. It was white horse. Turned it out. It came back in. And she's trying to groom it off. And she's like sweating. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what? This was like a serious ordeal for her that this horse had mud on it. And I'm like, I'm sorry. You know, you told me I could turn it out. She goes, I didn't know your pastures had mud in them. I said, well, they're not like knee deep mud or anything. But like, yeah, there's like a little mud. Like it doesn't even go up over her like coronet band. Like I would never turn a horse out in like ankle deep mud. You know what I mean? But there's a little mud out there.
And she's white, so
yeah. So it was like spring, and the trainer gets here, and like I said, I'm gonna get hammered for this one, but I gotta tell it. I already started. So the trainer comes in and she goes, "Oh, what is going on here?" And I'm like standing there like a fool, and I'm like, I'm a trainer, right? Like I call myself a trainer.
Sitting there smiling, like,
and I'm like, oh, okay, it's a dirty old horse. Like who cares? And she's like, this is insulting to your instructor to have a dirty horse. And I was like, what? Like, I literally laughed because I thought she was kidding. Like, I busted out laughing because I thought, you're kidding, right? You should see my guys, right? My kids come in and they brush them off and they're covered in just dirt. And, like, I mean, not trying to make my barn sound like a big old schlub hole because it's not.
No.
But, you know, my horses are horses. They live. They go out. They get muddy. They come in. My lesson kids groom them off. These horses are not... I mean, well, you know, you shouted out Axel for me because he was not...
It's like a whole new horse on the ground.
Yeah. So, like, I just never understood, like, how could you be offended? Like, she was generally offended that this horse was dirty when she got here. And I thought, how? Like, how? What did you want? Like, her just to be in the stall 24/7, 365, never see an ounce of dirt. God forbid.
Oh,
and it just, like, bothered me so much. I didn't know, like, what to do from there. So then I said to her, well, I'm just not going to turn the horse out anymore because, like, we got yelled at. Like, both her and I got yelled at.
That's kind of ridiculous. Like, the horse is going to ride the same if he's got mud on him or not. Like, you don't need to...
That's my thing. Like, if you're going to a show, yeah, my horses are clipped thoroughly, and, like, I get it. You're showing high level, and I'm not saying... Like, I understand, like, especially coming from the Morgan, Saddlebred, and Arabian world. If we have weighted shoes on, they can't go out. Like, they just can't. It'll suck them right off. So, like, I get that. But my guys at least go in the arena. Like, they at least go in the indoor to play. And I don't want to hear anybody talking crap about that because if you wrap them up, if you wrap their legs and you put their bell boots on, what's the difference if they're going out to play in the arena or if you're riding them in the arena?
Exactly.
Because I've had some people be like, well, you can't turn them out. You have to, you know. And I just don't understand that. Like, I really don't. My horses wear their weighted shoes just fine. You know, I mean, granted, do I have anything that's, like, super crazy weighted up? No. You know, but they're little weights I've got. So, PETA, don't come for me because we're not big licking over here with the big, like, Tennessee Walkers because I can already see, like, the people, weighted shoes. Oh, how terrible. And, yes, people, my hunters wear weights. So, for those of you that are anti-hunt seat horses that have weighted shoes on, they wear them. And I'm proud.
And they're fine.
So, and they're fine. They're good.
And they look great.
Because I get, like, that's, like, a big discussion in the Morgan community, which is another thing that I should not. I'm, like, just trailblazing where people are going to hate my guts. We got to get an audience that likes us, not the ones that.
Yeah.
Because they'll be very shocked.
They're like, oh, my gosh, she hates this and this and this.
Yeah. But that's, like, another big discussion in the Morgan world is these hunters that wear weights, and they're just saddlebred hunters. And I get, like, or saddle seat hunters, sorry. And I get that. Like, some of them are... like old saddle seat horses that we've notched down to hunters. But I also have fluid hunters too. It's a judge's opinion. Like I'll put a fluid hunter in the ring that has no weights on and that has a nice flat knee and they're ground covering hunters. Like I'll do it. But then I'll turn around and I'll put a really fancy hunter in. And this was actually an argument I saw on Facebook just the other day. Was somebody was like, "Oh, they have those horses in the hunter division because they have no neck." I started laughing because, like, oh, it doesn't have a big enough neck to be a saddle seat horse. It doesn't have a big enough neck to be a park horse or an English pleasure horse. So you had to drop it down to hunt seat, but you didn't take the action. So action is like the way the horse travels, right? So like it picks its feet up high. Like Axel has way more action than Bo does.
Yeah.
So typically, you know, a lot of action, they'd be a saddle seat horse. But I just feel like if that's what you like and it's fun, those horses are fun. Like, those horses are legitimately fun to ride. Like Sam, you ever watch him go around? He just kind of plugs along. Yeah. And he just picks those feet up and sets them down. He's just so pretty. And I feel like they're just fun. So, like, why do you care?
Yeah.
Like, why do you care? They're like, well, the rule book says. Well, you know what? Who cares? As
Who
long
lives
as you're
by
not
the rule book?
Exactly.
Like...
And as long as you're not hurting this horse. I'm not saying throw 20-ounce weights on them or like crazy big pads or all this kind of stuff. But if you're having like a good time with your horse,
and the
who
horse
cares?
is enjoying its job too. Like,
yes.
The horse has a say in, like, you know, its
yes.
job.
So that's like another thing. When I start training, people are like, well, I want a hunter. And I'm like, well, is your horse going to be a hunter?
He's got to decide that.
I wanted a saddle seat horse, and my horse decided he was Western Pleasure. And that was just his decision. And like Al, we wanted a Western horse, and Al, he decided he was going to be a hunter. And he was a darn good one. So, I mean, yeah, it's just is what it is. I like this. I really do. We have good episode. Okay. We have a lot to talk about. We're just rambling
I know.
on. I've angered several people in this podcast.
The donkey's finally going
The
off.
donkey's going. Okay, yeah. For everybody at home that can't see this, we're doing this in the tack room, in our little tiny tack room. Jen's dog is here. He's never seen a donkey, heard a donkey before.
By the sound.
He's the sweetest thing. He's stayed quiet the whole time, and now our donkey is telling us that time is up. So
she's giving us the 5-minute warning.
She's like, 5-minute warning. You're done. We're done. I want to eat my lunch. Get the hell out of the tack room. Oh my
gosh, hurry up.
Oh, okay. So, and this will be rough. This will be rough for a while because, you know, we know nothing. So I actually don't even know my Instagram handle. I got to bring this up. Okay, I know Jen knows hers.
Hilarious. Mine's Champagne Jenny.
Oh my God. Can I tell you this? So Ian himself, my husband that's sitting right here, also our producer for the moment, found out that your Instagram handle and stuff was Champagne Jenny. And he has been calling you that. Every time he refers that to you, he's been calling you that.
Champagne Jenny.
Champagne Jenny. So when we were in the car, like 2 days ago with my brother, he says something about, did you text Champagne Jenny? And I was like, why would I text her? He's like, to ask her about the podcast. And I'm like, oh, okay. And my brother goes, oh, do you have a friend that's a stripper? I said, no, she's not a stripper.
No.
I said, she's my lesson student, for God's sake.
No,
and yes, I swear to God, I'll have to bring him on the podcast now, too, so he can tell you the stripper story. But we started cracking up.
And
so
he knows I'm sad. He's like, Mom, what's wrong?
I feel like we desperately need to know the meaning behind Champagne Jenny.
Okay. So it's honestly like Champagne Jenny because I am obsessed with Drake and his is Champagne Poppy.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Before that, my other Instagram handle was Machine Gun Jenny.
So that's your. Oh no, I'm not gonna put that one out there because I saw that one too when we had to exchange lesson money. So I'm not going to say what platform that's on, but yeah.
Okay, yes. So, yeah, there's Machine Gun Jenny, and then there's Champagne Jenny. And I like Champagne Jenny because I like champagne and I like Drake. So it's just, I try to be unique.
Yeah, well, that was like a thing. I am going to actually just do the Instagram handle of the podcast because no one wants to see my actual Instagram at the moment.
Yeah, I post, honestly, nothing about anything on
There's
my
nothing
Instagram.
about, well, I mean, I've got some horse photos on there, but it's like really nothing but a bunch of crazy selfies about Baby Yoda, and that's about it. So it's really not interesting. So if you want to go on Instagram, find us on Facebook, find us on Twitter, it's going to be Off the Rail Pod. And I don't think there's any underscores or anything. Just straight up Off the Rail Pod. And we're going to try to get this edited and put out God knows when. We're going to try to bank some episodes. And we're going to see if we can put out some like polls or Facebook posts or Instagram polls or Twitter polls or whatever and see if we can get ideas of stuff people want us to talk about.
Yeah.
So
that'd be perfect.
This episode was pretty much just an introductory of who we are, what we do, how we have actually no significance in this world whatsoever.
Yeah.
But we're just going to sit here and talk about it. And I think that's pretty much really it. I think we did a good job.
I think we did a good job. I think this was good.
Yeah, I
Besides
enjoyed
my
it.
Sniffling.
The sniffling. We had the dog running around. I had to like burp once away from the microphone. So lots of bodily functions going on.
Yeah, lots going on over here. It's been real.
So anybody that wants to hang out with us knows we're just full of bodily functions and inappropriate
real.
humor.
Yeah.
So we're just weird.
Just
you
two
know,
blondes trying to get through life.
trying to figure it out. But all right, that works. So I had a really good time. This actually wasn't as awkward as I thought it was going to be.
No, it
so,
was really nice, actually.
All right, so if we meet back here next Sunday, sound good?
Yeah, perfect.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Jen.
Bye.
Bye.